Has training been well, I guess obviously it's been a bit more of a challenge this week, but has it been manageable?
No, not really. It's we haven't been on the grass, and we won't get on grass from one game to the next. So I've never known it like this in Cambridge, to be honest. I think I've worked here over 11 years, and we've never had a period where we're not able to get on either surface. So it was a gym day Monday. Boys were off yesterday. A couple of days were indoors. The university have been great and lent us some facilities there, but it's indoor sort of sports hall facilities. And then we'll just travel up on Friday and use the gym at the hotel. So we are massively restricted this week in what we're able to do, which is a shame because training's been good the last couple of weeks and we've really benefited from that. But the attitude of the players has been class, so hopefully they can just go and turn up and get on the grass Saturday and put in a decent performance, because I think we had, I don't think the amount of snow was so forecast around here, but we had about 5 inches of snow at the training ground, and then we've had minus temperatures all week, and the car was saying minus 10 when I got to the training ground this morning, so I don't even know if that's true, but there's certainly no sign of any of the temperatures shifting. All the AstroTurfs are covered in snow or frozen, same with all the grass pitches, so it's been a quite challenging week. We've dipped in and out of different places and changed times depending on availability, but yeah, it's one of them you've just got to deal with. It always does come at some point in the season. You get a week that's a bit of a rascal, and this is certainly it. So we're escaping the south to get up north to the warmer climate, and hopefully we can get a game on at the weekend.
Yeah, and it becomes part of it really, that how you deal with that uncertainty and the disruption to your schedule. You've had it over the past couple of seasons for all sorts of reasons, most notably, of course, when you had COVID and games would suddenly disappear or whatever it might be. So you're well used to having your routine ripped up a bit. Yeah,
I think it's one of the consequences when you work at Cambridge as well. You just have to be fairly skilled, and you get fairly skilled in just adapting to stuff. Because over a decade we've had a few things thrown our way that you just learn to navigate around and through. Certainly, like you say, the last couple of years we've had a few challenges, but you just work out the best way you can from that. It's been a good few days in some ways, because we've been able to spend a bit more time with the boys in the video analysis stuff and some of the post-match bits we've been able to do. And the boys are in a real sort of focused state at the moment. And in the end, these sort of challenges just come down to an attitude. Obviously, physically you can be better prepared going into games, no doubt. But in the end, it's like, what sort of attitude have you got, and how do you approach it, and how do you deal with all of these challenges? And our lads have been great, and they're in a good mindset at the minute, so hopefully that reflects in our performance on the weekend.
Yeah, from a technical point of view, I suppose it makes it a bit harder to maintain the momentum, in that you'd love just to take that out onto the training pitch. But what do you make of Fleetwood? They've had a lot of draws.
Yeah, they have, and they've come close in a lot of those games as well. They've scored some late goals. They're always in games right the way through. Defensively, good record. I think they recruited really well in the summer. They've got a lot of attacking options, a lot of athleticism in their team, and they've got some really good players throughout the attacking areas, players that can cause you problems. They've got 1 or 2 injuries at the moment, which has probably limited what they've been able to do, but a lot of their attacking players are able to play in different shapes and different systems and different areas of the pitch. So in terms of their starting 11, it can play in different ways. It can play with a back 4, back 3. It can play, wide players can play anywhere in the front end of the pitch, and fullbacks have played either side. So there's quite a lot of variety with the players that they've got. And it won't always be as easy to guess their starting team and who's where just from the team sheet itself. They're a fairly fluid team, who make you defend, who get the ball forward with forward longer passes, with dribbles, with counter-attacks. They're excellent in terms of the transitions that they can play in. So it'll be a really good game, and hopefully we can give as good as we get in that sense. And for us, it's about trying to go up there and mirror the performance levels of last week and put together a consistent level of performances over the next few weeks, because we've got a number of games coming up that will challenge us, and we want to try and see the consistent performance levels again, but also the consistent point scoring days. That's important for us now.
Yeah, and of course taking that momentum from last weekend, but being aware that Plymouth and Fleetwood, very different sides, so you're trying to apply the good bits as best you can, but it of course ends up being a different challenge.
Yeah, always, and being away compared to being at home. I mean, Plymouth, we probably turned into a slightly different team last week. The way they set up was different to normal. and they probably play with a bit more of a direct threat than they had previously against us. So that became a bit of a different game, and I think it just goes to show you can do all your preparation going into a game in terms of how teams play, but on any given day they can come and do something else. They can play different players through choice or necessity, and they can change style from one game to the next, or certainly in game, and Fleetwood are one of those sides. So you've got to get that balance right, I think, between preparing as well as you can for the opposition, understanding what good looks like for us and making sure we try and be really consistent in our own level, and then having that ability to adapt and adjust to whatever the game is on match day. So there are some similarities in their team to Plymouth in the way that they can have possession of the ball, the speed at which they can attack with the quality of their attacking players, and the ways in which we think we can expose and hurt them. But in the end, it will come down to a mentality, work ethic of a team on the day that have got to go and deliver a real good high level again. And so far this week, I've seen that mindset shift in the players that looks like they're in a better place, and hopefully that reflects in the performance levels next week.
And with the team news, everything looking stable the same for the weekend?
Yeah, we hope so. Obviously, we've got a few days to get through yet. There's quite a lot of coughs, colds and illnesses going around, so hopefully that's the worst that gets. And then obviously we're training in different spaces and different surfaces, so you can certainly not guarantee that everyone comes through those all right. So I wouldn't want to say it's nailed on, but as we stand today, we're in the same place as we were.
And just a quick word on the January transfer window now, just around the corner. Do you feel like you're ready to go from day one? It's always a really tricky window to deal with, but do you feel you're as well placed as you can be?
Probably, yeah. I mean, I don't think it's as easy to say ready to go on day one suggests that we'll have players walking in on day one, and it's not as easy as that, because players don't necessarily want to commit straight away, and clubs aren't ready to commit, because in a lot of cases there are other clubs that have to have players leave before they can bring players in, so that might slow the process down a little bit. What I'd say is we've got the backing to add to the squad, which is really important. We don't have to have players out before we can have players in. We have no loans currently, so we've got the ability to trade straight away. So we're certainly working at full pace to try and add to the squad and make it better and stronger and deeper and more competitive. And our plan is to come out of January stronger than we currently are and create that real edge and intensity and competitiveness in the squad throughout the whole squad. But whether or not we can do that from the very, very first game, I'm not so sure. Certainly Sheffield Wednesday on the 2nd will be a stretch, and Bristol Rovers on the 7th might be as well. But there's a potential that our squad could look different every week of January. So we'll just have to play it by ear, really. But certainly there's an intent from all of us to make the squad stronger and to add to what we've already got. And I think that will get the best out of the other players as well. And between now and then, we've got to really push and find the level that we found last week, because what we know is we've got good players, we've got a good team, we've got the basis of something, and we want to freshen that up again in January and add to it. So we're working really hard on that at the moment, and we'll just see how that all plays out over the next few weeks.
Yeah, and regardless of the exact date that you're able to get players in, there is a bit of a process there anyway, I suppose, with working them into the squad, working them into the side. You could bring in a player day one, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're ready to come straight into the team.
Well, we want to try and sign players that can come straight in the team and make us better. That is our sort of intent for the month, really. I guess the difficulty is sometimes the players that are available might not have been playing, and therefore the physical bit of are they ready and game ready to really come in and hit the ground running. We've got to try and sign players that can and are. That's the intention, but obviously every individual is a little bit different. We know with a number of our injured players, they've been out a long time as well, so it's not like if they're available and they come back in Jan, they're ready to go. So we certainly need to add, but time will tell. Every individual case is probably a little bit different, so we'll just play that by ear as we go through.
And just to confirm on Liam Bennett, it seems like he's been going really well at Warsaw. You do have the option to bring him back in January if you want to, so something to consider there? Yeah,
definitely something to consider. We have those discussions all the time. The loan's going outstandingly well for him, and the trade-off is how many games is his season going to look like. At the moment he's in Warsaw's team, he's doing brilliantly, it's been a great loan for him, so we've got that option, so we discuss that one all the time, and we'll see what's the best case in terms of one, our team, but two, Liam's development as well. So there's an option there to do that, but we'll see how things play out in the next few weeks, and then make a call once we get into January.
Cool, that's great for me.
Hi Mark, just on the point about January, are you able to give any clarity as to how many signings you're looking to make and in what position?
No, we're trying to make the squad stronger through every unit of the team, really. But other than that, we haven't really got a number on how many. And a little bit can depend on availabilities for loans that are available to come in and players that can go out from our end. So there could be ins, there could be outs, anything could happen, really. It's a really open and fluid window, I think. We're going into it very, very open-minded, and we want to come out of it a stronger squad. But in terms of exact positions and number of players, we won't want to commit anything publicly on that, really.
Are you looking at permanents, loans, or both, really?
Yeah, both. I think January's a tough window to do permanent transfers, but we've had some successes in the past where players are coming into the last 6 months of their contract where there may be availability for those players, and if something comes up that suits us, suits the club, suits the player, we've got the ability to do all of those things. So in our mind, we can have a wish list at the moment, but then another 80 or 70 clubs will get involved in that, and players will have different intentions as well. So we're really open to what we can do. It's quite an exciting challenge, but whilst we've got those plates spinning, and really that's Ben Strang's focus over the next month to line things up and to work out where we're going with the next little bit with all of our input, because my job really is the 4 or 5 games we've got coming up, and they're pretty big ones as well, pretty big challenging ones. So we're trying to deal with the challenge of January, but not losing sight of the challenge of the next month as well.
You've got a lot of players that are out of contract at the end of the season. You're in a position now where you're unlikely to see players signing new deals until that point at the end of the season.
I don't know, really. I guess it's never something that really happens in January, because January is more about incomings than anything else. So I think it might be the end of the season. I mean, we're in a position at the moment where we don't want to be doing too much in terms of the current situation of players. Some wouldn't want to do anything now. Our focus really with our players and the current team is get to the end of the season in a really good position and having had a really strong second half of the season. But I wouldn't imagine there'll be too much going on with those players until, like you say, the end of the season, because the focus now is on what we're going to and how we're going to add to the squad in January, and how we're going to perform and finish the season off in the second half of the season.
With the weather as it is, are you fully expecting Saturday's game to go ahead?
Yeah, we are at the minute, because I think they're a little bit better up there than we have been. I don't think they've had the same snow that we had. There has been a bit more of an overnight freeze, but looking at the temperatures, it looks to be up at 4, 5, 6 degrees over the coming few days. So having had a conversation with them earlier in the week, they didn't have any concerns. Obviously, if there was a real shift in that, we'd hope to know before we travel tomorrow morning. So we'll chase them today to see if there's any change to that. But we've been led to believe everything will be okay. So we're just planning on as normal.
Cool, great, thank you.
Mark, just one from me regarding the impact that Scott Brown has had at Fleetwood, and whether their performances have been sort of driven by the sort of player that he was.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, I think they often say that a team is the reflection of the coach, so you would expect to see an element of that. But I don't know, one player in one position is you know, when you coach a team, you're trying to impact a whole style. I mean, the style of their game has been very expansive and very attacking in the way that they play, but they have a discipline about them, and they have a work ethic about them that you would probably say is synonymous with a manager. So what I would say is, when we played them last season, there was a real struggling team. They've been very, very close in a number of games that have been draws to winning, and the league position could look significantly different. They're a strong side. They've got good resources. They really they invest every season and try to improve all the time. And I think he's you know, there's a lot of us that are getting jobs at the moment doing it for the first time, all from different backgrounds. But I'm sure that it's a challenge he's really enjoying, and he's certainly built a good side there, which we know will give us a real test at the weekend.